now I'm marking which side I want to be the belly of the bow, looking down the stave, trying to get it as straight as possible. Doesn't matter too much if the stave is wavy in the you know, the way the bow bends, but laterally it makes a difference because then it offsets the string to one side or the other, and that's not good. Right now I need a piece of string. Okay, what I'm going to do with this, just find the midpoint of the bow. Exactly where I marked it. That's good news. Make sure that's nice and tight in there. I wonder how good you can actually see that. Let's try zooming in. No, that doesn't work. Never mind. My newest tool that I've bought cost me £2.99. There's a little spoke shave, just like that. This is a wonderful tool. It saves a lot of effort and time. Otherwise I would have to rasp down with my hand rasp. This saves a lot of time. Now I'm going to just start by taking off as much wood as I can off the top, without going too far. I'm going to obviously, once I get down to roughly what I want, I'll then be able to start using the rasp, which is much slower, because this takes off far too much wood. One wrong stroke and you can ruin the whole bow. This wood's been seasoning in the workshop here for about the last 2 weeks, which I find is, with hazel, it's ideal. You want to leave it for at least 2 weeks, otherwise it's just too wet. And when you rasp it with this, your rasp just gets completely full of wet sawdust. It's almost impossible. Okay, just one more thing before I cut this video and move it to the next section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to saw off these edges here to make them nice and flat. I measured it from the edge of these. That's where I've hacked it with my bill hook. So I'm going to cut that flat now on both ends. Yeah, just so we got a couple of nice smooth ends. So obviously there's nothing worse than when you make a whole bow measured out specifically and then you go to do the tips and you realise that you've got a massive crack on one of your tips. You've got to shorten the whole bow and change the dimensions of everything, remeasure it. So it's best to just cut that nice and clean straight away. Okay, I'm going to spend a bit of time with the spoke shave and then come back to you in about 20 minutes. So now I've taken a good bit of wood off this end. This one's still pretty much untouched, I've just flattened out the top. I had to use a small wedge. I used a plane blade and a hammer, a lump hammer, to remove some of this wood by the tip here because there was a massive knot right at the end which was stopping the spoke shave sliding properly and making it very difficult. So that was what you saw me hammering. Okay, so I've pretty much finished all I can do on this limb right now. I'll just lift that for you so you can see. So that is a little bit of a dodgy bit there. I didn't cut it short enough when I did the trimming of the ends, but that's fine. So it's going to be easily remedied. So that's pretty much what you're looking at for this limb. I need to thin out this a lot more just here, obviously, but it's very hard to work and the vice is there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark the very middle where the vice was. Just so I don't lose my middle point. And now I'm going to take this out. One thing I've learnt since I started using a spoke shave was to do the middle before you do two ends. Only because you can very easily find yourself losing proportion of what the bow should look like because you've got this big fat middle, and you do the other limb and you just can't. For me anyway, I can't really keep my eye on it nicely. So what I'm going to do now is I've done this first limb. I'm going to trim down the middle, and the middle is going to be left. If you look at that from plan side view, sorry, the middle is going to be left very wide here because we're going to cut it out of the sides here to make a handle and also an arrow shelf. So that is going to be there is going to be the thickness of the handle section all the way. Right here it's going to start getting thinner. I'm going to rasp that down just there so it's nicely curved into the limb smoothly, and the limb will finish about here. Okay, let's put this over here. Got my coffee, of course. It's very important to have your coffee. You can't make a bow if you don't drink coffee. Once you get further along with the bow, you'll want to put something soft in the vise. I've got this high density foam that I use to protect the wood from the vise. But right now, it's fine because this wood is going to be shaved off at the sides here, so any minor damage done by the vise is going to be removed anyway. So yeah, that was a quick job. Now you can see that has thinned out beautifully, and that just really helps me to connect the two sides of the bow now. Again, I'm gonna be, this is ridiculous, can't do it with one hand. So again, I'm gonna be shaving down the sides and shaping them more. Wish I had a better place to put the camera.